Baba Vanga said that she could see in her mind's eye. And when she would look at a person, she said that she could see their whole life in its totality, complete, from birth through their life until death, as if she were watching a movie.
Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025 are starting to unfold. And they're not what anyone expected. From terrifying natural disasters to global chaos, her eerie forecasts are beginning to hit too close to home. Are we really heading into the nightmare she saw? Or is this just the beginning? As the world braces for what's next, one question lingers. How much of what she predicted is about to come true? The blind woman who saw everything, Baba Vanga. Just saying her name stirs a mix of awe, mystery, and maybe even a bit of skepticism. Known as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, her story weaves together tragedy, wonder, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. Was she truly a prophet with a gift for seeing the future, or just a clever figure wrapped in myth and folklore? Let's explore the life of this blind mystic who captured the imaginations of millions and left us wondering what's real and what's not. Vangelia Pandeva Dimitrova, born on January 31st, 1911, Baba Vanga's life started in the humblest of places, a tiny village in what is now North Macedonia. Her family was poor, her mother passed away early, and her father's political troubles meant the young girl had to grow up fast. But it wasn't these early hardships that made her famous. No, it was what happened when she was 12 years old that changed everything. Imagine being swept off your feet, literally. A violent storm, the kind that sounds like it came straight out of a myth, grabbed Vanga and hurled her through the air. Hours later, she was found buried under a pile of dirt and debris. When they pulled her out, her eyes were filled with sand, and her world was suddenly plunged into darkness. Just like that, her sight was gone forever. But here's where things take a twist. While Vanga lost her physical sight, she claimed to have gained a different kind of vision, one that let her see beyond the limits of time. It started small. She would tell people where to find lost objects or give hints about small, everyday events. Soon, the whispers about her strange abilities grew louder, and before long, people from neighboring villages were knocking on her door, hoping for answers. World War II turned her into a legend. Desperate families came to her, begging to know if their sons, brothers, or husbands would return from the battlefield. Vanga didn't shy away from giving them answers. Sometimes she'd offer such specific details that it was hard to believe she was just guessing. Stories spread like wildfire, and suddenly this blind woman from a tiny village was Bulgaria's most talked about figure. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Her predictions didn't stop at personal advice. She started talking about world events, things so big and dramatic they seemed impossible to predict. Ever heard the chilling prophecy about the American brothers falling after being attacked by steel birds? Many believe this was her way of foreseeing the September 11th attacks. In another eerie prediction, she warned that in August of 1999, something called Kursk would be covered in water and the whole world would weep. A year later, in August 2000, the Russian submarine K-14 Kursk sank, taking the lives of all on board. Coincidence or something more? Her predictions didn't stop there. Some say she foresaw the rise of an African-American president in the United States. Others claim she predicted the devastating tsunami that struck Asia in 2004. The list goes on, from terrorist attacks to technological breakthroughs. It's almost as if Vanga's mind held a movie reel of the future. But was she really seeing the future? Or were people just seeing what they wanted to believe? That's where things get murky. Many of Vanga's most famous predictions weren't written down until after they supposedly came true. Think about that for a second. Some of her most chilling forecasts, like the sinking of the Kursk submarine or the September 11th attacks, only appeared in the media after the events happened. Could these stories have been twisted, exaggerated, or even invented by people who wanted to believe in something magical? The line between legend and reality starts to blur. Some skeptics argue that Vanga's predictions were just vague statements, easy to reinterpret once history unfolded. Others say she used the same tricks that so-called psychics use today: clever wordplay, educated guesses, and reading people's reactions. But even with all these doubts, her reputation hasn't faded. If anything, the mystery only makes her more fascinating. So what makes Baba Vanga's story stick with us? Maybe it's the sheer drama of her life. A blind woman with no education, rising to become a figure sought after by politicians, soldiers, and desperate families. Maybe it's the human need to believe that someone somewhere can make sense of this unpredictable world. We crave answers, especially when life feels like chaos, and Vanga seemed to offer a glimpse beyond the veil of uncertainty. Even after her death in 1996, Baba Vanga's influence lingers. Her home in Bulgaria has become a place of pilgrimage for the curious and the hopeful. Her predictions, true or not, continue to pop up in news stories, YouTube videos, and conspiracy forums. And every time a new disaster strikes or a major world event happens, someone inevitably asks, did Baba Vanga see this coming? In the end, it doesn't really matter whether you believe in her powers or dismiss them as folklore. Her story is a reminder of the powerful role that mystery, hope, and belief play in our lives. Maybe the real magic of Baba Vanga lies in the fact that, decades later, we're still talking about her, still wondering if she had a window to the future, or if we've just painted her as a prophet because we needed one. And that, perhaps, is the greatest prediction of all. And her visions of the future, they're a whole different level of chilling. Baba Vanga reportedly saw a world where oceans rise, cities vanish, and darkness spreads. Wars, disasters, even alien contact. She hinted at all of it. Could these be the nightmares of a blind woman, or a warning we're not ready to face? Number 9. Europe's conflict on the horizon. What if a single spark could ignite a global conflict? Baba Vanga predicted that by the year 2025, Europe could see a major war that would leave devastation in its wake. And looking at the current situation, her words don't seem so far-fetched. Right now, NATO and Russia are locked in a dangerous game, with tensions rising over issues like the war in Ukraine, NATO's expansion, and energy security. As countries pick sides and build military alliances, things feel more unstable by the day. So, could history be repeating itself? Just like World War I, where a single assassination triggered a worldwide conflict, today's geopolitical struggles could easily spiral out of control. If war broke out, it wouldn't just be between the powers involved. It could send shockwaves across the globe. Innocent civilians would be caught in the crossfire, with economies collapsing and trade grinding to a halt. Entire communities could be forced to flee their homes as cities become battlefields. So while the idea of a major European conflict seems distant, the reality is that tensions are at a boiling point, and peace is fragile. Number 8. Alien invasion or new hope. Baba Vanga predicted that by 2025, Earth could make contact with extraterrestrial beings. The idea of encountering aliens is both exciting and unsettling. Imagine one day looking up at the sky and seeing a spaceship land right in your town. For some, it could be a moment of awe, bringing the possibility of advanced technology and new knowledge. However, for others, it would likely spark fear. History shows how fear of the unknown can cause chaos. When new explorers or immigrants arrived in unfamiliar lands, misunderstandings often led to conflict. A similar response could happen if aliens arrived. Society might split between those who welcome them and those who see them as a threat. If extraterrestrials do land, the world might be thrown into chaos. Governments would scramble to respond, and the media would likely fuel the fire with speculation and panic. The fear of alien invasion could lead to distrust, even violence, as people react to what they don't understand. Baba Vanga's prediction makes us ask, how would we really react? It serves as a reminder of how deeply rooted our fear of the unknown can be, shaping our responses to the unfamiliar. Number 7. A climate crisis looming. What if the world you know today is drastically different tomorrow? Baba Vanga predicted that by the year 2025, environmental disasters could become even more severe, disrupting life across the globe. This prediction feels increasingly real as we witness the devastating effects of climate change. From wildfires in California to catastrophic flooding in Germany and India, extreme weather is already wreaking havoc. Take Hurricane Katrina in 2005 or Hurricane Maria in 2017. Both left entire communities in ruins, and recovery is still ongoing. And if Vanga's prediction proves true, things could get worse. Experts are warning that without urgent action, we'll face even more intense storms, rising sea levels, and ecological collapse. Entire neighborhoods could be wiped out, and economies could suffer as industries struggle to cope with the damage. This is a wake-up call for the world. If we don't start addressing climate change now, by reducing emissions and protecting our environment, tomorrow's disasters could be far worse. Our choices today will determine the world we live in tomorrow. The future is in our hands, and we can't afford to wait. Number 6. The solar storm threat. In 2025, solar storms could shake up our world in a big way. These powerful bursts of energy from the sun have the potential to mess with everything from cell phones to GPS systems. Imagine this. You're sitting down to stream your favorite show, and suddenly the internet goes out. Not just for a few minutes, but for hours or even days. It might sound crazy, but it's a real threat. Solar flares can scramble signals from satellites, causing major disruptions in our daily lives. The consequences of this would be huge. Today, we rely on technology for almost everything: banking, shopping, and even communication with loved ones. If a solar storm hits, businesses might not be able to process payments, and emergency services could lose their ability to communicate. It would be like a massive power outage. But instead of losing electricity, we'd lose our connection to the world. It's not all just science fiction. Experts like those at NASA have been closely monitoring solar activity, and the risk is real. In 2025, a solar maximum is expected, meaning stronger storms could be on the horizon. Unless we take action to protect our technology, we could face serious disruptions. Number 5. The Comet's close call. In January 2025, Comet C 2024G3 Atlas, and there's a chance it could break apart. Imagine holding a snowball in your hand on a warm day. It starts to melt and could fall apart. Comets are like that, made of ice and dust. As they get closer to the sun, the heat causes them to heat up rapidly, which can make them unstable. This isn't just a wild guess. We've seen it happen before. Take Comet Ison back in 2013, for example. It was expected to put on a dazzling display, but when it got too close to the sun, it disintegrated, leaving astronomers disappointed. If C/2024G3 follows the same path, it could break apart, and we might see some exciting meteor showers as its fragments enter Earth's atmosphere. But there's a more dangerous side to this event. If the comet does break apart, some of the pieces could end up on a collision course with Earth. While the risk of a direct hit is low, it's still something to keep an eye on. This close encounter with the sun could offer a spectacular show in the skies, or a reminder of how unpredictable space can be. Number 4. The AI revolution's dark side. By the year 2025, the world could look very different thanks to the rise of autonomous decision-making systems. Imagine a future where AI, not humans, decides who gets life-saving medical treatment or which suspects face charges. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But this shift is already in motion. These AI systems are expected to take charge in areas like healthcare, law enforcement, and finance, all without any human intervention. For example, an AI might decide who gets a spot in a crowded emergency room based solely on data, completely ignoring things like a patient's family ties or personal history. But what happens when AI gets it wrong? That's where the trouble begins. Who's responsible if an AI system makes a bad call? Is it the creators who built the system, the company that used it, or the AI itself? And here's the kicker. AI systems learn from past data, and if that data is biased, it could lead to even bigger problems. Picture this. An AI being used to hire people might unintentionally favor certain groups over others, just because its training data has biases from years gone by. Now we're talking about a future where bias could become embedded in the very systems we rely on. As we move closer to 2025, the reliance on these AI systems could create a divide between us and the decisions that affect our lives. If we don't take control now, we could find ourselves in a world where critical decisions are made by machines we don't understand. So as the AI revolution continues to roll forward, it's on us to make sure these technologies help us, not replace us. The future of decision-making could be smarter, yes, but only if we steer it in the right direction. Number 3. Surviving the solar surge. In July 2025, the sun will reach its peak, and things are about to get intense. This is the solar maximum, a time when the sun becomes super active, with around 115 sunspots expected to form. Think of the sun as a giant campfire. During this phase, the flames are roaring, sending out sparks of solar flares and coronal mass ejections, or CMRs, in all directions, showering the solar system with bursts of charged particles. These powerful solar events don't just stay in space. They can have a big impact here on Earth. For example, if a massive CME heads our way, it could cause geomagnetic storms that disrupt power grids. Think back to the 1989 blackout in Quebec. A solar storm knocked out power for millions. And in 2025, the risk of this happening again is very real. Without power, we could face everything from dead phone batteries to a sudden loss of television and internet. Satellites, too, are at risk from the increased radiation. This could interfere with GPS signals and communication systems. That means your everyday tech, like smartphones and navigation, might not work as usual. As the solar maximum approaches, it's important to stay informed about what the sun is up to. These solar storms could shake up our daily lives in ways we least expect. Number 2, the future of supercomputers. By 2025, we could be looking at computers that process information at speeds comparable to the human brain, and all for just $1,000. Crazy, right? We're talking about computers that could multitask like we do, like cooking dinner while jamming out to your favorite playlist. Imagine a machine that could juggle complex tasks without breaking a sweat. So what does this mean for the future? Well, picture this: a computer that could scan thousands of medical studies in seconds, pinpointing the best treatments for diseases faster than any doctor could. This could slash the time it takes to develop new medications and save countless lives. How wild is that? But it doesn't stop there. With this kind of computing power, weather forecasts could become shockingly accurate. Think of how quickly a computer could track a storm's path, giving us more time to prepare and, most importantly, saving lives. But here's the catch: with great power comes great responsibility. If computers can predict our behaviors based on data, where do we draw the line? It raises big questions about privacy and consent. As amazing as this tech sounds, we'll need to think carefully about how we use it. The future's bright, but it's up to us to make sure we don't mess it up. Number 1, the trillion sensor revolution. Imagine a world where everything around you is talking to each other. Your phone, your fridge, even your light bulbs. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, by 2025, this will be our reality. Over 100 billion devices will be connected, creating what's known as the trillion sensor economy. Picture this: every device around you, from your thermostat to your car, gathering and sharing data in real time. It's not just about convenience anymore. It's about everything running smarter and more efficiently. So what does this actually mean for you? Let's say you have a smart heating system in your house. It can learn when you're home and when you're not, adjusting the temperature accordingly. You don't have to touch a button, it just knows. Not only does this save you time, but it also saves money by using energy only when needed. Now imagine that on a city scale. Traffic lights that adjust based on current traffic conditions, cutting down your commute and making the roads safer. It's like the entire city becomes one big smart system working to make your day easier. And it's not just in our homes or cities. Businesses are going to know you better than ever. Ever walked into a coffee shop and had your usual ready before you even asked? In the future, this won't be a surprise. It'll be the norm. Businesses will use data to understand what you like, when you like it, and how you want it, making everything faster and more personal. But with all this convenience comes a huge question. What about privacy? The more data we share, the more vulnerable we become. A hacker could gain access to your smart home system and mess with everything. Unlock doors, change the temperature, or turn off your lights. As cool as these gadgets are, we'll have to be extra careful to protect our personal information. The challenge will be finding a way to enjoy all these smart systems while keeping our data safe. So while the year 2025 holds amazing possibilities, it also brings a lot to think about. The future is coming, and it's up to us to make sure we're ready for it. What do you think? Which prediction excites you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more thrilling content like this. Thanks for watching.